Hello, curious minds. Welcome to Project Excellence Prodigy, your one stop destination for everything in project management. I'm Govind, a PMP certified project manager. In today's lesson, we will dive into the world of information radiators, large, highly visible charts and boards that showcase the true progress of agile projects. Think of them as open dashboards placed where everyone can see, giving stakeholders an instant view of progress, blockers, and team performance without the need for lengthy reports. From Burndown charts to Kanban boards, these tools do more than present numbers. They spread information across the team, driving clarity, accountability, and continuous improvement. So let's jump straight into these concepts. In agile projects, we often use information radiators. These are large, highly visible displays that openly share important project details with the team and stakeholders. The purpose is simple. They radiate information, so anyone passing by can instantly get a sense of the project's current status without needing to ask for updates or go through lengthy reports. What makes the information radiators effective? They have some key characteristics. They are visible and accessible, means they are placed where everyone can easily see them, either on physical boards in team areas or in shared digital tools. Real time or regularly updated. They always show the latest status, so the information is current and reliable. Simple and clear. Radiators are designed to be understood at a glance without complicated details. Radiators encourage transparency. By being open and visible, they help build trust, improve communication, and keep everyone aligned. Some of the most common information radiators in agile projects are mentioned here. Sprint Burndown Chart. It tracks how much work remains in a sprint. Sprint Burnup Chart. It shows how much work has been completed against the total scope. Velocity Chart. It displays the amount of work the team delivers across sprints. It helps in future planning. Product Backlog Board. It lists and prioritizes all the upcoming work items. Kanban Board. It visualizes workflow stages like to do, in progress, and done. Impediment Board. It highlights blockers or issues so they can be resolved quickly. Sprint Burndown Chart. Sprint Burndown Chart is simply a visual graph that shows how much work is still left to be done in the sprint. On the x-axis, you can see the sprint timeline, which is usually measured in days. Days of the sprint from day 0 to day 10. On the y-axis, you can see the amount of work remaining. It is often tracked in story points. Here, it is starting from 50 story points. Means we have to complete 50 story points in 10 days time. This red dashed line is an ideal burn. This shows the perfect world scenario where work is completed at a steady pace and reaches zero exactly on the last day. Alongside this, the actual progress line in blue color, which is plotted daily to reflect how much work is truly left. The sprint started with 50 story points of work, and work did not reduce in a perfect straight line. Initially, until third day, the progress was slow, and from fourth day, we can notice some speed. From here, we can see curve is steeper, which shows progress is much faster. By day 10, the blue line reaches 0, means all sprint work was completed by the end. With this chart, the team can instantly see if they are ahead, behind, or on track. If the actual burn line stays flat, it signals that no work has been finished yet. If the line doesn't reach 0 by the end of the sprint, it means some tasks or stories are incomplete. If you have noticed here in the middle, actual burn line is far above than the ideal burn line. It means work is behind schedule. But towards end, especially after 7th day, the slope steepened, which shows team caught up and finished everything by the end. Second radiator is sprint burnup chart. This chart provides the inverse perspective of a burndown chart. Both tell the same story, but in two different ways: remaining work versus completed work. Burnup chart is a visual tool which is used in agile projects to track how much work has been completed over time during a sprint. X-axis represents time, days of the sprint or release, day 0 to day 10. And y-axis represents the amount of work, which is usually measured in story points. Two key lines are here. The red dashed line is total scope line or work planned, and green solid line is completed work line, an upward sloping line that shows the cumulative work finished as the sprint progresses. At day 0, the completed work line is at 0, means no work finished yet. The scope line starts at 50 story points, the initial planned work. Around day 1 to 4, the red line moves upward from 50 to 55 and then 55 to 60 story points. This means new stories were added to the sprint, and after day 4, the scope stabilized at 60. The green line rises steadily as the sprint progresses, showing work delivered. By day 10, the team could complete 55 story points. The team worked consistently, steadily, increasing the completed work line. However, since the total scope increased during the sprint from 50 to 60, the team could not finish all the work. So at the end of the sprint, if we do retrospective, our planned work was 60 story points and we completed 55 story points. So remaining gap is 5 story points which were not done. So these incomplete user stories are moved back to the product backlog. If these 5 points are still valuable, they will be carried forward and planned for the next sprint. Why it is useful? This chart makes two things transparent. One is progress. How much work is done through this green line. Second is scope changes. That more work was added during the sprint. We can see red line moved up. If you only had a burn down chart, the extra 10 story points might be harder to spot. But here stakeholders clearly see both the scope creep and the team's effort. Next radiator is velocity chart. Velocity chart is a simple way to track how much work a team actually completes during each sprint. Instead of focusing on plans or estimates, it shows what got done, usually measured in story points or user stories. It is often displayed as a bar chart. Each blue bar represents one sprint, and the height of the bar shows the completed story points or amount of work delivered in that sprint. Here in sprint 1, 20 story points were done, and sprint 2, 25, sprint 3, 22 points, sprint 4, 28 points, and in sprint 5, 24 points were completed. The dashed red line is the average velocity across all sprints. If you calculate it, it will come 23.8 story points. This line gives a quick reference on average. The team delivers about 23.8 or 24 story points per sprint. If we talk about why it is useful, it guides us for future planning. By knowing the team's past performance, you can forecast how much work they are likely to finish in future sprints. It also helps identifying spot patterns. Is the team steadily improving, staying consistent, or slowing down? On top of that, It plays a key role in release planning because you can estimate when certain features or product goals are likely to be completed based on the team's established pace. Product Backlog Board. A product backlog board is simply a to-do list for the entire product, but much more structured and visible. It holds everything that might be built, whether it is a new feature, a user story, or even a bug fix. It is usually managed on a board or digital tool like Jira, Trello, or Azure DevOps. Each item appears as a card, and these cards are arranged in order of priority. The top items are the most important, meaning the team should work on them first, while lower items can wait until later. Why it is useful? This board makes priorities crystal clear to everyone. The team knows what to focus on next, and stakeholders can instantly see where their requests stand in the queue. Since it gathers all upcoming work in one place, it becomes the one-stop list for planning and building the product. Next radiator is Kanban board. A Kanban board is a visual tool that shows the flow of work. Instead of keeping tasks hidden in lists or documents, it makes the whole process visible so the team can see what is happening at a glance. The board is divided into columns that represent different stages of work like to do, in progress, testing, and done. Each task or story is shown as a card. As the work moves forward, the card shifts from one column to the next column until it is completed. To keep things under control, teams often set WIP limit, work in progress limit, so no one is overloaded. Why it is useful? The Kanban board shows transparency, means everyone sees exactly where each task stands. There is no hidden work, status is always visible. Bottlenecks can be detected easily. If one column fills up with too many tasks, suppose for example, there are too many tasks in testing column, so it signals a problem. The team identifies that testers need support and addresses it quickly. Kanban is continuous flow of work. New work only can enter as soon as capacity is freed up. WIP limits force the team to finish tasks before starting new ones. This reduces multitasking and increases the team efficiency. Next information radiator is Impediment Board. It is a visual tool used to track blockers, obstacles, or issues that are slowing down or preventing the team from making progress. It ensures these problems are visible and actively managed instead of being hidden or forgotten. It is similar to a Kanban board but focused specifically on impediments. It includes the column identified, assigned, and resolved. Identified, where we list new blockers reported by the team. For example, here the server down. Then we will move to assigned column. When someone, Scrum Master or stakeholder, is working on removing it. And finally, we will move to resolved column. If the impediment is cleared and no longer affects the team. Each impediment is written on a card. There will be description of the issue, date when it was raised, and who is responsible for resolving it, and current status of the issue. Why this radiator is useful? It makes obstacles visible and transparent, so nothing slips through the cracks. It keeps the Scrum Master and stakeholders aware of what needs their attention to be fixed. It ensures blockers are actively tracked until they are resolved, instead of being forgotten or hidden. We have seen how Agile Information Radiators from charts to boards make progress visible and keep teams aligned. Always remember, agility is clarity and clarity drives success. Keep radiating information. If you found value in today's session, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to Project Excellence Prodigy. Until next time, Namaste, goodbye, Sampai Jumpa.